Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their own spiritual journey stories with a safe and supportive community. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, email lighttalk423@gmail.com. And while you're at it, click on the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Well, let's have our guest today introduce herself, and then we'll start listening to her stories. Go ahead, take over.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Staisiunas, and the name of my company is Little Aspen Studios. I have what I thought was a pretty, common background that I think people can relate to until I started to review this, and I was starting to see all the synchronicities that was starting to flow. I grew up in Chicago. Catholic family, saints, angels, the whole bit. I loved the ceremony. We had rituals every Sunday. We went to church. Yeah, we had this, this community. I was about 3 years old, and this is my first recollection of a spiritual, awakening. I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, and Saturday night, it was bath night. I was in the bathtub with my sister. We had Mr. Bubble, which was a big thing back then. And I was looking at the bubbles in the tub, and I said, "Oh, there's people in the bubbles." My sister freaked out. She calls my mom. Mom, Laura's seeing things in bubbles, blah, 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 things like that. My mom comes rushing in. She thinks, I don't know, one of us is, under the water, like this thing. And she says, "What are you seeing? What are you seeing?" I said, "I don't know. You're 3 or 4 years old. I see people in the bubble." Well, my mom took her hand and she smashed all the bubbles. She was just like, "Oh, well." It was like, "No, you're not supposed to do,
Yeah.
So everything kind of got squelched. And I'm sure a lot of people probably say, I had one of those in my early childhood. Okay, I went into the science, math, healthcare field, give me the blood and guts. I love, boom, boom, boom. Nothing to do with spirituality, nothing like that. If you couldn't put it in a formula, it didn't exist. That's how far back I went on my spiritual journey. And then I had my first initiation, and it was by 2 sisters or 2 nuns. We went to an aura reading class, and I took my mom because my grandmother, her mother, used to do the tarot cards. And we didn't find any of this out till later. And dream analysis. So I did we did the dream analysis class, which actually I still use part of that analysis on how to do this. And she said, "Well, if you really like this, you can really get some value from my friend Sister Jean, who's teaching how to read auras next week." Didn't know,
Really?
and coming from a healthcare background, I'm thinking, seizures, epilepsy, like that premonition. And I'm like, auras. I'm like, what's a nutty? I know I had to be there. I went there. She explained everything in terms of energy. And I'm like, oh, I got it. That was my first initiation. Second initiation was in Egypt, which is a whole different story with the Valley of the Kings. And then my third initiation was my shamanic deaths. But anyway, I digress. So looking back, I thought I had a pretty normal like upbringing. And then all of a sudden, there was this unfolding of synchronicities. So timing is everything. I didn't get hit by lightning. You know how people like, oh, they had this big awakening. It was just this gradual unfolding. So, yeah, it was just so natural. It was just this natural progression. And that led me into the Akashic records. And this, I mean, we're talking like 20 years ago. Again, synchronicities. Those, we back then we only had like these throwaway magazines every month, the Aspectarian. It was like, like one of these advertisement things. Linda Howe, Akashic record class. It was that weekend. Space is limited. I thought, I'll call. I call. Sure, Laura, come on. We'll love to have you. Okay. I worked at the hospital back then, and we had to work every other weekend. That weekend I was off. Boom. Another. So it just kept on going. And I studied the Akashic records ever since that. So
Wow.
and it's interesting because back then we were learning the earth-based Akashic records, and now I'm also doing readings for the galactic Akashic records because of this ascension and expansion. So things
Wow.
here again are just kind of this unfolding, but now things are a little bit more rapid, a little bit more quickening. I guess I'll just call it quickening.
Okay.
Ah,
Sounds good.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Um, yeah, very interesting. And people are like, well, like what are the Akashic, the records? They're I don't want to say they're becoming more and more popular, but they're becoming more accessible. And I like to think of it as, like you're a huge database. You go into a meditation, you get in on an, elevator, you go up, bump, 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 you get off. Oh, there's a PC or computer over there. You type in what you need to, because you're in the Akashic realm through meditation or a prayer, however you choose to
Right.
get there.
Yeah.
And you have access to your vibrational record. And it's available 100% everywhere. I mean, you don't have to go to like Machu Picchu, sit on top of the mountain, like a power place or anything like that.
Right.
They're everywhere, they're everywhere. Um, and I liked the records because the records have no judgment and they see you in your wholeness. There's no fear. Um, they look at your past, present, future possibilities. So when I open somebody's records, whatever has the strongest energy around it at the time, that's what comes, that's what comes out first. A lot of times people have their own agenda. They're like, oh, I want to know about this, this, this. And the records are like, oh, no, we're going over here. This is where she needs to go. And she's not
Right.
looking. She's not, or he's not looking for it. But you know what? We're going to go there.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Um, people ask about the past lives are held within the records. Um, I remember doing one of the past lives in in one of my classes, and I was in ancient Babylon, Persia type thing, with the camels, things like that.
Right.
And I was female in that lifetime. Um, my father was a very well-respected merchant on the Silk Trail,
Nice.
but I had a knack of picking out the finest silk. Not spices, not fruits, not, produce. That was my um, talent, picking
Uh-huh.
out, yeah,
Right.
picking out the silk. And then I had like my little group of women, my women friends, who did the embroidery, and they did it so fine that you couldn't even see like the little pinholes
Oh, wow.
that everything. So that was my gig back then. That's what I did. forgot about that past life. I'm like, oh, that's nice. It was nice. It gave me, you know, um, there's always something to learn from past lives.
Right.
So that, that was like my gifts and talents, that I have. It was, I had business skills because I knew exactly who the merchants were. I created my little group of women. It's like another, So anyway, so, I processed that. So last year, synchronicity, a schedule of events,
Yeah.
I find a class on um, echo dyeing. And I always loved fabric. I always sewed a lot.
Okay.
So here's a little show and tell. But and this is a silk scarf. So I created um, patterns with flowers on silk scarves. And it never dawned, it didn't dawn on me till like months later. I'm like, it's and I've been, yes. And
That's
so, but I've
awesome.
been, yeah. So then I've been teaching some classes. Here's another one. It was just like, oh, this is how it's going. So yeah,
Yeah. Past lives can bring out a lot in you. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. A lot of
Definitely.
lessons, a lot of
Yeah.
lessons, a lot of lessons to learn with that. Um,
Yeah.
People ask, one question that I get quite a bit. People want to ask, they'll ask about moving, like
Moving.
moving. So they'll kind of get a little like, I think I'm supposed to move somewhere, but I'm not too sure. I had one client, he was thinking of Santa Fe, loves the Southwest. Says, should I move there? Should I? And the other choice was somewhere on the southeast coast of the United States, Hilton Head-ish, something like that. Two totally different terrains. So we go into the records, and the records they don't answer yes or no questions. So they are here to help with your soul's growth. Okay. So, if you want to know if you're going to marry your boyfriend, well, you really kind of know the answer. And the records aren't, we're not going to go there, in the records. It would be, why are you asking that? But they're not going to tell you yet yes or no. So we go into, so we'll open up their records and let's say, what would a typical day look like for John? I'm making up a name. If he moved to Santa Fe. And they walked him through a typical day. He wakes up, he goes to the coffee shop, he sees his friends, blah, 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 goes to work, comes home, like a very quiet life, a very, nice. And the records don't care because if you move to Santa Fe, you're going to go down this path, meet
Right.
these people, meet your karmic, relations. If you go down this path, this is what you're going to, and
Yeah.
there's no saying that, oh, you're going to stay there for the rest of your life. It's just like different paths. So if you went to, like, if you went to that kind of like that Hilton Head-ish area, a lot of water. They showed him like um, a lot of like sports, outdoorsy, very active, a lot of friends, a lot of almost like clubs, like, oh, we're going to go here. We're going, you're going to, things like that. A lot of support. So, and it was, it's their choice. And,
Right.
we're just showing, this is what you want to do. So,
Right.
yeah. So people ask about that too. Very interesting.
Has it helped you out any going to the Akashic Records? Has it helped you out and
Yes,
how?
I do. I, even though I had a very solid math science background, I always had a creative background.
Okay.
So I will open up my records and what I did was create where's my deck? Oh, here it is. An oracle deck.
Oh, nice.
So, and I called it the Sacred Attunement Oracle deck. And actually, these are some of the patients,
Cards.
the pictures, yeah, the pictures there. So I took, and here's something, it's like listening to your intuition. And I would take a lot of classes. I took, you name it, I'll take it. For some reason, and I never, in this lifetime, I never really was a big painter, watercolors, oils, or, anything like that. And honestly, I draw stick people, and I draw stick people with curly hair.
That's
That's
me.
my repertoire. That's my repertoire. So if you see something, they'll say, "Oh, that's probably Laura."
Yeah.
So, but what I did, somebody had a class on these paints, and I thought I have to take that, but I didn't know why. I didn't know why. I didn't know when. So then what I did, I opened up my records and just asked for the energy. I just asked for creative energy to come through, and they just started coming through. And so I started making all the cards. So I had all of my cards. And the other thing that I did was I always kept like a little pocket notebook when I would go to yoga class or do my meditations, and I always had it off to the side. And if a word popped in or a phrase popped in, I just write it down real quick. So I took all of my painting and then I paired it with a word. And again, I asked for and I asked,
Yeah.
and I mean, this is done over time,
Right.
but I opened up my records and I asked, okay, what's this? And I would hear humility. Humility is the true opposite of ego. It is awe and reverence. Discover your true being. So all so yeah, so that's how it helps me quite a bit with my creative work.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing the cards? How long have you had the cards out?
These I've had for probably, I don't know, 2, 3 years maybe. So I'm working on a second deck. Um, and it was funny because I was kind of like at a standstill. I knew there was another deck coming, but I'm like, and I know myself, don't force the fit. So it was a lesson in patience, sit back. And because I thought, oh, I'll do this. No, I'll do this. And I thought, I wasn't sitting right. So now what they want to do is they told me it's going to be like a complementary deck.
Oh,
So people can pull from each deck. So
nice.
yeah. So it's
Nice.
like listen to the little whispers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're talking.
They are talking. I just finished up a class for oracle reading. And so now I've just spread the word. I haven't gotten any clients just yet, but I'm out there. I'm spreading the word now. So I'm excited to be able
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah.
So far I've been pretty good with it, and I'm learning the difference between spirit speaking and my ego speaking. So it's going to make a huge difference here
Yeah.
very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ego is like kind of like the barking dog. You got to
Yeah.
say, hey,
Right.
you know, cool it and give it a job.
Yeah.
And so that's how I learned how to kind of, you know, step aside,
Right.
take the ego, and sometimes I would have to give it a job and say, hey, can you work on the schedule for tomorrow for my works? Yeah, or something, I gave it a job. And so it's
There
like,
you go.
okay, it goes over there. And then I can be a clear channel to come through.
There you go.
Um,
That's a good thought of how to do that. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow.
And a lot of people too, yeah, a lot of people too, we do a lot of healing and clearing in the records. So a lot of people have like a large portion of clients, I'll call it ancestral healing or clearing. I
Hmm.
mean, it's not your job to, clear the entire, your ancestral line, but maybe
Right.
it's like, hey, it stops here. So you look at those patterns and we just keep on uncovering a layer at a time, a
Hmm.
layer at a time. People have some kind of trauma, or they have the witch wound. They're afraid of their own power because
Yes.
they're
Right.
there they go.
Right.
So we clear a lot of that, and past, and then what you can do, we'll go in and then they're like, oh, aha, they get it, and then they give that information to their ancestors and say, hey, this is, I want to help you. Here's some information of what I'm working on now, and the ancestors are like, thanks, so
Yeah.
it drops it down.
And it changes history.
Yeah,
It changes history too.
yeah,
So, yeah. So being able to help out the ancestries
yeah,
is changing the history so they had a better
mhm,
life.
yeah,
And which it's not really a had because we all lived in the same line,
yeah,
timeline. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And finance is a big one too,
Right.
because now, like my background, or my lineage, my heritage in this lifetime is, Eastern European. Okay.
Hmm.
And that's the till the soil. You have to work hard. If you want more money, you have to work more. None of this, oh, let's make, let's try to do something and, help people, bum, 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 like, no,
Yeah.
no, what's the matter with you? You keep on getting pulled back and you're like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
it's got to stop. It's got to stop.
Hmm.
Um, so a
Yeah.
lot of trauma like that, it comes out too.
Yeah.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
Um, you know, yeah,
Yep.
he was born that way.
Hmm.
Like all of these, misbeliefs come up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, I had that one. Money doesn't grow on trees.
yeah,
I keep
yeah.
waiting for ours to grow, but it just, you know, I
I
have to
know.
start thinking more positive about that, I guess, because
Yeah, yeah,
make that happen.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
you're right. You are definitely right with that. Absolutely.
yeah. It's very interesting how, what people are doing. And it's interesting too to learn about the galactic families.
Mm.
It's
Yes.
like, okay, I'm Sirius B, and I'm also a little Arcturian with the dash of Andromeda.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Lyran. And then you even go even beyond that and say, oh, I see what this, what why I'm here, or this. Oh, no wonder, a lot of
Yeah.
people with, you know, um, a lot of healers, or a lot of techie people, or, so it's interesting
Yeah.
to see, and you get a bigger picture of who am I in this lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious about my star seed.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm curious
yeah,
about all that. Yeah.
yeah. Very, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much out there.
There
And
is. There is so much out there. And I would like to have you come back on the show because we're kind of running out of time here. But
yeah,
I'd love to have you come back on the show and talk more about the ancestral and the
Oh,
other
sure.
galactic lives and everything. I
Yeah.
think that would be great to have that talked about some and just to kind of see more collective on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. We can have fun with that.
Yeah.
The other thing quickly too, that kind of ties into all of that is, um, I I study the language of light. People call it the light language or
Oh,
light
the light
codes.
language. Oh, that's so
So what
beautiful.
I've been doing, and again, this is the creativity. This is part of
Yeah.
the Akasha. This is part of the language of light. This is part of the galactic.
Hmm.
And I start getting um, pictures and codes for people, or and I'll after the image comes through, they give me a title. Like this is common spirit. Um, sometimes it's a little bit more lengthy. I try to do it kind of large. Um, and this one I like. We are always with you. So
Nice.
it's again, it has to do with all frequency and vibration.
Yeah.
And it all, because
Yeah.
it's all in our field. It's all in our field, and it's got to be activated.
Yeah.
So
That is beautiful. That stuff is
yeah,
so beautiful. Yeah. I think this would be a good spot to close up for the day.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much for being a
Oh,
guest
thank you,
today.
Dana. Yeah.
And I'm excited to have you back on the show to talk more about the galactics.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that'd be fun. Yeah.
oh, it'll be so much fun. Um, bah, got my brain all messed up. Ah. Yeah, so yeah, again, thank you for being on this show,
Oh, thank
and
you
we
for the
welcome you.
invitation. Yes.
Yeah. So if anybody else out there has your own unique journey stories, email me at lighttalk423@gmail.com. And while you're at it, click on that there like, share, and subscribe buttons down below. And we will talk with everybody next time. Thank you so much. Bye.